So that speaks to the obsession with the customer experience. So one of the defining aspects of your approach to Amazon is just being obsessed with making customers happy. I think companies sometimes say that, but Amazon is really obsessed with that. I think there's something really profound to that, which is seeing the world through the eyes of the customer, like the customer experience, the human
Truly.
being that's using the product, that's enjoying the product, like what they're like the subtle little things that make up their experience. Like, how do you optimize those?
This is another really good and kind of deep question, because there are big things that are really important to manage. And then there are small things internally to Amazon. We call them paper cuts. So we're always working on the big things. Like if you ask me, and most of the energy goes into the big things, as it should. So, and you can identify the big things. And I would encourage anybody, if anybody listening to this is an entrepreneur, has a small business, whatever, um, you know, think about the things that are not going to change over 10 years. And those are probably the big things. So like I know in our retail business at Amazon, 10 years from now, customers are still going to want low prices.
Mm.
I know they're still going to want fast delivery. And I just know they're still going to want big selection. So it's impossible to imagine a scenario where 10 years from now, I say, where a customer says, I love Amazon, I just wish the prices were a little higher. Or I love Amazon, I just wish you delivered a little more slowly. So when you identify the big things, you can tell they're worth putting energy into because they're stable in time. Okay. But you're asking about something a little different, which is in every customer experience, there are those big things. And by the way, it's astonishingly hard to focus even on just the big things. So even though they're obvious, they're really hard to focus on. But in addition to that, there are all these little tiny customer experience deficiencies. And we call those paper cuts. And we make long lists of them. And then we have dedicated teams that go fix paper cuts, because the teams working on the big issues never get to the paper cuts. They never work their way down the list to get to, they're working on big things as they should and as you want them to. And so you need special teams who are charged with fixing paper cuts.
Where would you put on the paper cut spectrum the buy now with one click button, which is, I think, pretty genius. So to me, like, okay, my interaction with things I love on the internet, there's things I do a lot. I may be representing a regular human. I would love for those things to be frictionless. For example, booking airline tickets. Just saying, but it's buying a thing with one click, making that experience frictionless, intuitive, all aspects of that. Like that just fundamentally makes my life better. Not just in terms of efficiency, in terms of some kind of
cognitive load.
Yeah, cognitive load and peace, inner peace and happiness. But first of all, buying stuff isn't a pleasant experience. Having enough money to buy a thing and then buying it is a pleasant experience. And like having pain around that is somehow just you're ruining a beautiful experience. And I guess all I'm saying as a person who loves good ideas is that a paper cut, a solution to a paper cut.
Yes. So it's probably that particular thing is probably a solution to a number of paper cuts. So if you go back and look at our order pipeline and how people shopped on Amazon before we invented one-click shopping, there were there was more friction. There was a whole series of paper cuts, and that invention eliminated a bunch of paper cuts. And I think you're absolutely right, by the way, that when you come up with something like one-click shopping, again, this is like so ingrained in people now. I'm impressed that you even notice it. I mean, most people,
every time I click the button,
most people never
a surge of happiness.
There is in the perfect invention for the perfect moment in the perfect context, there is real beauty.
Yeah.
It is actual beauty, and it feels good. It's emotional. It's emotional for the inventor. It's emotional for the team that builds it. It's emotional for the customer. It's a big deal. And you can feel those things.
But to keep coming up with that idea, with those kinds of ideas, I guess is the day one thinking effort.
Yeah, and you need a big group of people who feel that kind of satisfaction with creating that kind of beauty.